We're going to look at looping in Python in this lesson. There's multiple ways to do loops. We're going to start by looking at some different ways. We can use a while loop, which is based on using a conditional, and we can use a for loop, which is based on counting, how many times we're going to do something. So the conditional loops are the while statement, count-based are for statements, and what you want to avoid at all costs is the infinite loop that never stops. Sort of like Lamb Chop, the song that never ends, that would be an infinite loop. So our while loop steps is to set an initial value to whatever variable that you're going to check, and it's going to need to change value for the loop to stop. So you're going to check the variable with a while statement, then you're going to do something, and then you need to increment the variable or change a flag value, in some way change it. Otherwise, if it never changes, you'll be stuck in the dreaded infinite loop. So this is a simple while loop. Count equals 0, while count less than 5, print loop iteration, and then the count number. Count plus equals 1, we're incrementing count, so it adds 1 each time, and then we would print count is now, so it would print loop iteration 0, count is now 1, loop iteration 1, count is now 2, and it would keep going until count equals 5. With a for loop, you can use either 2 or 3 arguments. That's the things between the parentheses for the range. The first one is where you start, the second one is where you stop, and the third one, which is optional, is what you increment by. So here we're incrementing by 2. If we left off that last number, it would increment by 1. So this would start at 1, it would go to 10, not inclusive, and it would increment by 2. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Then we have our for loop with 2 arguments. Again, the default incrementing is 1, so it's range 5 through 8. 8 is not inclusive, so it would print 5, 6, 7, and it would stop. You can break out of a loop statement if you reach a particular value. Breaking completely stops the logic and you go to the next line of logic. You're going to leave the loop entirely. Sometimes you just want to skip a number in a loop. That's where you would use a continue. It skips the current iteration and just goes on to the next one. So you don't leave the loop, you just stop and skip this instance. So in this example, we're going to skip for the even numbers. We're checking for that with the modulus. You can also use else with the loop so that if you don't break, the else will print at the end of the loop. Not done super often, but it is something that you can do. In the next video, we'll look at some examples.